Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Right now, South Africa is at the center of a diplomatic storm with the United States. We've been reporting on the back and forth for weeks now. My name is Ify Igwe, the African Diaspora News Channel. Today, we're talking about the growing tensions between the US and South Africa, a situation that raises questions, serious questions, about global politics, economic interests, and the fight for African sovereignty. And now a South African delegation led by Zane Dangor, the Director General of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, recently traveled to the United Nations in New York and met with senior White House officials. And what was their goal, really? To set the record straight on South Africa's racial policies and land reform law, specifically land expropriation without compensation. We spoke about it on this channel.
The delegation addressed the issues related to US concerns about alleged human rights violations in South Africa, particularly in the context of certain minority groups, and the Land Expropriation Act's nil compensation clause as a means not to facilitate unlawful land seizures and undermine property investment, further explaining in detail how that process would work.
And this move comes after US President Donald Trump signed an executive order cutting off aid to South Africa, citing that, there are cases of racial discrimination against white South Africans. Trump even went as far as offering white farmers in South Africa the chance to relocate to the United States. Now, almost 70,000 white South Africans want to do that. But here's the thing, this isn't just about land, this is about power, influence, and control over African resources, right? Tensions between the US and South Africa have been growing for a while, but they escalated even further when South Africa took Israel to the UN International Court of Justice last December, accusing it of committing genocide in Gaza. Now, the US, being one of Israel's strongest allies, wasn't too happy about that. And now things have taken another turn. Just last month, if you recall, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared South Africa's ambassador to the US, Ibrahim Rasool, persona non grata, basically kicking him out and just calling him a race-baiting politician who hates America. So where does this leave South Africa? Will these diplomatic tensions impact trade, investment, and international relations? Yes. We've seen what's going on with the tariffs, We've reported about that, and you see stories and more reports on that on this channel. Now, the relationship between South Africa and the United States is crucial, especially when it comes to trade. The US is one of South Africa's biggest trading partners, and billions of dollars flow between the two countries in goods, services, and investment. So, while some may actually question why South Africa is sending a delegation to the US, wondering if it looks like they're going to beg the US, that's not necessarily the case, right? This is diplomacy, and diplomacy is how nations actually navigate complex relationships without resorting to conflict. Yes, of course, we must acknowledge the deep historical wounds of colonialism and oppression, and Africa is in a new era where we're reclaiming our power. But at the same time, global relationships still matter. Trade deals, investment opportunities, and international cooperation shape economies. They create jobs, they influence growth, and no nation can operate in isolation, not even the biggest superpowers. South Africa engaging in dialogue with the US doesn't mean submission. It means strategy, negotiation, and securing what's best for South Africa. And I believe one thing's clear. South Africa is making bold moves, refusing to bow to pressure and choosing to act in its own national interests. So whether you may agree with their policies or not, this is a moment that could redefine Africa's position on the global stage. But what do you think about this? Let's talk about it in the comments. My name is Ify Igwe, reporting from Nigeria. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.